Hi Leo, thank you very much for being here. Polina here, talking to you about Leos, and what we're doing in 2020, and also what are we doing for all of us. So this is one of those times when you're doing and doing and doing, and you're feeling yucky feelings today, good feelings tomorrow, great feelings the next day, and then strange feelings the next day. There are certain things that are basically for all of us, and no matter how much you do or how much you think you do, or how much you have to create, or how much you can't create, there's always going to be like a certainty, okay? And that certainty is within the full tribe, the full collective, or the full circle of friends. And you've got to basically be okay with that. So this is not just about, like, say, you, me, and Steve. This is not about like you and mom. This isn't really to do with, like, say, you and three other people. You're working for the team, or you are creating for the global consciousness, and you're kind of plugged right in there. And there is no more, perhaps, money, there's no more experience, there's no more pain, there's no more validity anywhere else. So this is where you basically got to be okay with that. So for example, I have to now plug into this band of people, or I have to like be part of this global thing, like this global range, or this global rave, or this global brand. And there's like no money, or there's no passion elsewhere. So this is where basically you get like cut from something you used to do by yourself on a level. So sometimes, like for example, you get an artist that's just painting for themselves, and they're becoming available to people, how can I say, only on a certain level, because they are too busy making for themselves, working for themselves, creating for themselves, crafting for themselves. But then, for example, they also have a store, and that store is a global store. And here's where the artist complains, oh, I can't paint anymore because my cafe, cannot run without me. So you have to basically understand where and why that is happening. So you have to basically release a lot of the things that you're doing just for yourself, by yourself, inside your own home, inside your own garden, inside your own situation, because basically you cannot do it all like that. And sometimes you cannot do it all at once. So please release any kind of opportunity, or any kind of situation, any kind of thing, any scheme where you are alone as a little like hidden gem or little cameo piece only, where you are afraid of what other people are thinking and feeling, where you are not quite, but you are getting to be like fearful of how other people have treated you and your previous results, where you're not sure why or how or where or when or what for. Certain people will understand your music, certain people will understand your style. It doesn't matter, it never mattered. So basically, you are now based in a bigger collective of people. You now kind of like maybe don't need any introduction, but if you are introducing yourself, start to introduce other people around you, start to become part of it, start to form yourself a brand with other human beings, start to kind of like emulsion, emulsify who you are, or who you have been, or who you have to be within a collective of humans, and not to break free what seems to be breaking free from others so much, too much. They don't really understand who you are, who you were. So you've got to basically here breathe and be okay with bringing it for you and for someone else also, and perhaps through them and you for many, many other cultures, many, many other representatives, and like a big global thing. So Leos are not just like one off now. They're not really like, oh, you're one of us, Leo. It's more like Leo is the heartbeat of a lot of people. And also, we with Leo aspects have to really release all of us, like our souls, like our previous. It's really hard to talk about. It's like extraterrestrial stuff. Sorry. Our previous selves that have never really found a place. So, for example, if you have a martyr inside you, if you have a separatist inside you, if you have a subdued person who never had any friends in high school inside you, if you have also something else within you that dictates and suggests that you will never be free, or you will never be a part of another person's life, or if there is like a feeling or a fear that for your sexuality, for your choices, for your anything, just for your temperament, for your mental illness, or just for your monetary situation, or for your race, color, gender, look, feel, style, you will not belong. That has to be done. So basically, Leos, you guys, we are really, really hopeful tribal people always, and we're going to basically release now any kind of temptation that we have on the other side. So for example, I would love to be part of this group. I would love to represent and be discovered and be a huge motion within this particular tribe. But because I have a crush on somebody, say, for example, without a group and without any boundaries or barriers, and somebody who's really, really distrustful of other people, I will not participate in the larger schemes of this group. So futile, infantile relationships have to be broken and conquered. So, like, this is where you pick out the runt, and you don't nurture it. And I'm really, really, like, afraid of this myself. But when you kind of see, okay, so for example, I have had a partner who didn't want to be a part of anything, and they were only beginning to perhaps be a part of a group just out of their own needs and wants, and they had nothing to believe in, they had no faith, they had no stamina, they had no vision, they had no global reality, but they wanted me as a kind of like a side effect of their own consciousness. If you are there and you have certain types of people or partners in your life that are basically treating you as a disposable object, or you are being disposed of by that person, or you are somehow in this kind of like naughty or nasty relationship where you basically put under the rug or behind closed doors while your friends are waiting for you to fully speed up and full steam ahead, you have got to realize it now and also start to put away any kind of portal, any kind of situation like video games, excessive marijuana use, addiction to tantra, addiction to books, addiction to TV, anything that is basically pilling you. How can I say? It's like it's sedating you. It's giving you something to think about. It's giving you like very, very small type of advice. It is not integrative. It is distracting from the greater, bigger picture. So I trust you know now that every time you're with us, you win. Every single day that you spend perhaps with another person or another consciousness above yourself also is going to give you much more. If you are a believer, if you are giving people the truth, if you are waking other people up, you will see, no matter who you are, no matter how much or how little you have, there's going to be more conjoined to you, there's going to be more given to you, there's going to be more adjustments in your life that will push you upwards. And the minute you don't dream, the minute that you are in another's arms who's just pacifying your consciousness, the minute that you are forgiving everything and you just want to stay alone, you sit in bed for a long time, you never show, and you never want anybody to know who you are, that has to be conquered. But if you are somebody who has maybe a lot of Capricorn or Pisces aspects, and your journey this year is basically ripped apart between being incredibly requited, invited, and wanted, but at the same time, on the other scale of it, you are also nobody, and nobody knows who you are, where you're from, and you have to basically subjectify yourself sometimes to the illusion of loneliness and the veil beneath this world. There's got to be perhaps a party later. If you are, for example, a computer programmer, you've been doing this for many years and you're very good and you paid very well and you're supporting your family through it, at the same time as you're like an aspiring, say, like guitarist, and you have like so many people that want to like see you perform at parties, try to make sense of both, but please make sure, especially if you've got Sun, Ascendant, first house in Leo, please make sure that you are who you are and you show up no matter what, with no mind sometimes. Just boom, here comes Leo with a guitar, here comes Leo with a drum, just boom, 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 you know. And that's okay for us sometimes. You know, like some other signs can't afford it. Cancer can't afford to do that kind of stuff sometimes. And the unique ones, you know, the really, really like fully like full chest heaving ones, you know, the ones that are like really like whoa, like real for this world, these are the ones that get to basically nurture us and make us understand who we are. So without you bringing it like that, without you bringing them that knowledge or that music or that spectrum or that feeling or that freak out or just that wow, that feeling, without this on a level, there is nobody else. And sometimes there will be only one Leo at a time. That's quite funny. So like within a group there will be that one full-hearted, full-blown, full-blooming Leo energy that will just be the only one, and that's okay. So for example, between 20-30 people there will just be that one funny guy or that leader or that marketer or that manager, and that's okay. So we have to be spaced out here also between other Leos. So what I mean here is that the leader, the king or the knight, there has got to be perhaps a certain kind of certainty that you give to other people, and an uncertainty that you retain or retract. So, for example, if you are completely willing and fully fulfilled in this act or in this knowledge that you are the one, or you are the guy, or you are that person, also perhaps feel fulfilled in knowing that in a certain other direction, in a certain other dimension, you will not be that person. So once you've climbed, or if you already are on the way of climbing this certain type of scale, and you're creating this world where you are like one of the fathers or the mothers or the galactic voices or the galactic beings or beginnings for other people, and you're starting to really like perhaps even escape your previous selves through this huge condition of power and success and leadership and psyche reform through your own heart. So you're like the center of this galactic global war, like between all these different people. You have to be okay with the fact that you're going to a certain length with it. There is affinity to the infinite. So you have an infinite capacity for some people to give them advice, or to give them care, or to give them like that energy or that rhythm. But then on some other level, there will be other spaces filled in that you cannot enter. So for example, you used to be a computer programmer, okay? And you have done this for 20 years, and you're very well, and everything's fine. Finally, you like grab your guitar and you run away and you perform with a circus, you know what I mean? And you join people and they love your guitar playing so much that almost like no party goes without you being invited. That's fantastic. That's phenomenal. So that's generating income. That's now generating friends, people talking about it, people talking about you, people recording your sound, people asking you for pictures, people asking you to play. You're becoming that. And basically here you have to realize that perhaps your other job will close, or other things will come in to support your previous job. This could be even as crazy as your partner choosing another person, okay, to jump from one energy to the other. This could be as simple as your children getting jobs as well. This could be as simple as, for example, your mother stepping in and taking care of your house because you are not available. Why? It's because you are now Leo or the diamond on another scale. You're like wearing a crown of something else. And then you also have to realize, for example, if you're becoming a performer, not a partner, if you're no longer leading your home and you're performing instead, you're becoming, the full quantum energy for a party, or like the voice or showmanship, you've got to understand that that's a certain type of pyramid that you're going to end up climbing. Jupiter in Capricorn, okay, Uranus in Taurus. So you're climbing a certain type of pyramid. You're going towards a certain type of situation. You are walking into, also with Aquarian Saturn eventually, a very specific type of tribe. And then like these other things that you had, like the values you had, like but at home, conformity, touching your child, cuddling your mom, like being at home, being loving, cooking soup and making time and playing cards at the dinner table. Sometimes these will start to fall down. Okay, and there's got to be a lot of crying. So this situation can be very bittersweet. So like on one side you might have like a brand new feeling of being the champion, or somehow quite requited and required, and then on the other side you might have to say goodbye to your previous life. And this basically depends, and this is not really to anybody else's choice but yours, and the choice sometimes happens in the heart. And after, like, if you make that hard choice, on a level there's nothing else that stands between you and creator, and that's very difficult for us to understand. So for example, a man that is forced by God or by good or by the whole being or the whole mind to, for example, serve God or like serve music or serve creation on a level, cannot maybe keep well in his family bond where things are quiet and maybe very legal and very connected, and maybe perhaps also holy matrimony will not hold you back forever, and this has to be seen. So for example, if you are between choosing your family and choosing your path of creator or path of creation, you have to basically understand here where you're not going to turn up anymore. So for example, if you are not inspired for some reason by a family life anymore, and you cannot hold back from a certain other path, or you have met something in yourself that has pushed towards you a certain event or a certain story, a certain situation, there is no holding back now, Leo. So by knowing that you perhaps win everything, just by knowing and accepting the humiliation sometimes that we feel, through understanding that you cannot turn back. But for example, if you are trying to conceive a marriage, and you know that, for example, married life is not now for you, it's more a life of a traveler, or a life of a very angular person that changes the world, or shakes and shivers and creates all these different dimensions for him or herself and other people, but at the same time you're trying so hard to create harmony in your practical world, you may come back to the practice again and again. So here we have people with subordinate lives, and also lives that are subdued. So for example, trying to happen at home, trying to happen on stage, trying to happen as a traveler, trying to happen as a guru, trying to happen as an artist, trying to happen as a shaman, trying to happen as many different faces and many different people. And the advance that you get is only like maybe sometimes a once in a lifetime advance, or the advice or the connection that the universe gives you is only just that. And it is not really perhaps even possible now to go back on your word. So some of this can be broken and put together very, very fast. So for example, you get a record label that's very interested in your sound at the same time as you're concerned about like your wife and 7 children, you know, and then there's probably like nothing that you can do, because it's almost like the will of God sometimes can be celibacy, for example. Instead of trying to work it all together at once. But with Leos, there is nothing that you can probably right now do. There is something chosen for you. There's something chosen for us. If you are resonant enough or true enough or futuristic enough in a certain type of path, in a certain type of leadership or a certain type of vibe, they're going to be all of these things completely come out of kilter otherwise. So for example, even though you counted on your previous income, even though this is happening to me right now actually, even though you might be counting on a previous job, counting on previous dimension, even counting on a family member, they're not going to come with you. And it's going to be very, very easy to choose, because this is where you know that you've been chosen, in a sense, is because everything else fails. So there's only this one unique job, and everything else fails or like starts to fall to pieces. And on some level, there will be all these different leadership positions that are going to start to close if they were small time or mediocre for you. And then we also have a very, very strong force or strong courage or encouragement from someone else to stay. And this is where you basically give yourself 2 or 3 different faces again. But the thing here is basically to trust God and your heart and your inner potential and inner vibe. And also sometimes in a voice, you know, like all of these things that are like pushing you towards that one thing or that one geometry. And that has to be fine. I mean, if you really would like to, seclude yourself some of the time and just listen to your own inner voice, or just listen to sound. And you might want to like now start some kind of practice, economical practice, like yoga, like meditation, like sound healing, just in order to basically connect yourself from all of these aspects, draw that one, and basically vibe into that one energy, one aspect or one representation, all that you are. This doesn't have to be now. It never really had to be with force, but there are going to be certainties. And then there's going to be those things that are just no longer anymore. And we can't really help it. And we can't also like keep on pushing it inwards or keeping it behind, because there's not going to be any more than this, or no other way than this for now. So for example, if you are discovered as an artist, if you are discovered as a priest or representative, there's not going to probably be that much else, or there's going to be a big choice. And on some level, if you step up or if you step down, if you let it go or if you go another way, there will be lots of us challenging you as to where you are needed now. So you guys are kind of like a light, like a torch, or like a band-aid, or like a wound dressing, or you are like some kind of a special formula for us, like an ointment in a way. And if you are not with anybody, and you don't really like what you enjoy, and you perhaps persecute yourself for being that type of leader or that type of guide, there will be maybe portals, there will be questions, there will be voices, there will be choices, there will be 1 or 2 of us that will ask you maybe again and again, depending on how far we've come with you, what do you really want to do, and where do you really see yourself style or carry your essence? How are you going to do it? With what tribe? With what feeling? How many different people do you need to help you out? What are the reasons why you don't want to do certain things? And what are the reasons that you're doing the things that you are doing now? So basically, start to see your voice, believe in yourself, start to also see the vice or the hidden shadow that is keeping you within certain types of cycles, a certain type of people, or around a certain type of person. And why are you healing through hiding? What are you hiding behind closed doors now? These have to be said. If you have any healing to do also with self-respect, any healing to do with your self-security and maturity and the adjustment that you need perhaps within in order to carry certain things, you might also need to say goodbye for some larger schemes, larger games, larger fixtures, for some larger phenomena. You will need to get rid of the previous phenomena, and that has to be all right. So for example, if you had a very, very safe base with your wife, you might need to receive another person in your life, not because there's anything wrong with your relationship. It's just not going to function on that next vibrational level of where you're going now. And also some things may come to turn, and those of us that know you, or those of us that have figured you out by now, have to also lay back and let you rock it, and also let you do the things that you're going to do, and help you also esteem to that next level or that next faith that will help you dictate to some degree and push towards and make sure in your own time, in your own game, in your own world knowledge, in your own worldview, what you trust is real and what you trust is right. So we got to basically step back, take ourselves off you, take our religious views or take our ideology away from your field. And on a level, you will have to be the only person sometimes that knows how to put things together. And quite often, that will not feel good to you, that will not feel right for you, but that's just how it is. And the problem is not that we don't want you to work it out. The problem is that we can't help it, but we may not ever even see or know or understand how or why certain things are what they are without you in the picture. So without a Leo, sometimes we are blind. Without this light, without this warmth, we could not do. And that has to be right for you as well. And on some level, you have to also dictate, and you have to trust and believe things that are perhaps even beyond your own to conceive or recognize. And this is where Leos are perhaps in themselves blind and unable to really conceive the full capacity of their own guidance and of what they actually have in store for another person. So talk a lot, talk about you, become real, become perhaps famous or famed or real, and start to protrude and provide more. So thank you very much, and enjoy. I hope to see you next time. If you'd like to check out the Almanac, you can. If you'd like to check out my work, you can. It's all there, it's all online. And yes, very happy to see you. See you next time. Bye.